You're listening to Crazy Shit in Real Estate. You'll be amazed at all these wild but true situations that others have found themselves in. Because on this show, you'll hear uncensored, unbelievable stories from the world of real estate. I'm Leigh Brown. Let's dive right in.
I'm Leigh Brown. This is Crazy Shit in Real Estate. Today we're going to talk a little bit about investing and in specific about Section 8 with Stacey Duvall, investor and realtor extraordinaire from Kentucky. So I hope you'll enjoy this conversation. And most importantly, I'll see you on the other side.
We have so much to catch up on.
Like legit, we do. And I love that lamp behind you that's so pretty.
Oh, thank you. My whole house is very mid-century vintage.
Of course it is. Sales and auction barns and everywhere to go find things that nobody else wants, but that you know have life in them.
That is my life.
I mean, it's actually literally your life. You should tell my audience who is Stacey Duvall and give them a little bit of a thumbnail, and then we'll pick up where we left off.
Where to start? My name is Stacey Duvall. I'm the principal broker of my firm in Louisville, Kentucky. I've been licensed for 25 years. I have a very small little brokerage. I know we really do have so much in common, Leigh. I've been in business 25 years. I have a very small firm, and I am also an investor. I own rental property. I own Airbnbs all over the country, and I'm really excited to get caught up with you today.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. So, audience, you should know that Stacy and I actually know each other in real life. She's not just one of my delightful guests that I haven't met in person. We've gone so far as to sit in hotel lobbies while her husband wanders through and is like, I'm just going to leave y'all here for a while, and wanders back off because that was easier for him. I think he went back to bed that day because we were down the rabbit hole.
He was like, y'all just have fun. Just call me if you need me.
Oh, so tell my audience, what's going on in your world? What's happening in Louisville, Kentucky, and real estate and Airbnb world and Stacy's life? And what we going to talk about today? We talk about anything?
I texted you last week.
Okay.
I texted you last week and said, is there anything off limits I need to know about before we dive in? And you said, nope. It's all good. So we can really go in any direction you want. We can talk about the family that did the final walkthrough on one of my listings on the day of closing and called me, wanted me to remove the dead squirrel in the middle of the street.
I mean, you should do that. Don't you keep a shovel with you, like a flat edge, squared off shovel for removing dead critters?
We can talk about my client who they were planning on moving to Florida. And so we were getting their house ready for market. They fly to Florida to meet with their agent down there to look at properties. The wife gets absolutely shit-faced on the flight, starts a fight with the person next to her, and gets arrested when they land in Florida. And then they're so mad at the state of Florida, they're not moving.
I just have to ask, were they on Frontier or Spirit Air? And before y'all say something in the comments, that's the airlines that are on TikTok for that kind of foolishness. I don't see it on American, on these boring airlines that I fly on. I haven't seen that yet, but
that's why I don't take Carnival cruises either.
I ain't getting on a Carnival cruise ship. No way, no. My daughter asked me the other day, and she's 20. She's like, Mama, why don't we go on cruises? And I said, well, your daddy gets seasick. So that's one reason we don't go on cruises. But the other one is, I've watched them on the internet. I don't want to be on one of those boats. And she asked about Carnival, and I said, well, you're 20, so you go right ahead on, and you just save your money and let me know how that goes. I'm probably a Viking person at this point and eating dinner at 4:30 with the old people. But, okay, so she got mad at Florida because she got drunk and got in a fight. I mean, that seems perfectly rational. And isn't that the story of real estate, is perfectly rational people?
It is so fascinating, the things that we could put in a book if we wrote a book about this. I know you've got lots of books, but books about our experience.
Like, our business is full of those stories. So why is it that real estate is told in HGTV terms, which is so vanilla and so boring, and we all know how formulaic it is? Why is it that there hasn't been a real life story on real estate? And I've pitched it to a couple of different networks. I've had some talent holds and some showrunners. Nobody will pick it up, but they'll do the trashy crap on Selling Sunset. And then they'll show freaking Property Brothers and House Hunters till we're all just glazed over. I mean, this is a missed market, Stacey. They're missing out.
We should probably talk to somebody at HGTV to get that going. We need to.
I don't think it's HGTV. I think we got to go Bravo. Although in some instances, it might be Lifetime television for women because we've seen that happen in real estate too.
Rolling, and we'll film it on a Carnival cruise.
I mean, there is CE at sea in some states, including my own, where they have a cruise where they do CE together, but I haven't been on one because I don't do cruises, as I just said. So I want the dead squirrel. Can we just point out that in the South, we do have roadkill and we don't eat our roadkill. So can you please just say that in Kentucky, she was not asking you to prepare the dead squirrel? I think that is important to point out, Stacey.
Yeah, it is. I've heard that is a thing in some areas. That's not why she called me. There were some very bougie buyers who did not want the dead squirrel at the end of their driveway. I told her to call the road department.
You have to defend Kentucky, girl, because somebody has to. Let's talk about that investor part of your life briefly, because you mentioned that you do Airbnbs. I know that I prefer staying in them, and I have a couple of them, but they're under attack in so many different markets. What is your special sauce for finding a place where they will be welcomed and accepted in a marketplace? Are you looking for resort and second home kind of places, or do you do your Airbnbs in towns where there's not very many hotel options?
So there's a couple of different answers to that. When I'm looking personally for myself, I'm looking in secondary and tertiary markets. I'm looking outside of the big cities because there are so many regulations from the cities and counties and ordinances that they won't allow Airbnbs. So we really just completely avoid those areas and go on the outskirts where a lot of people still really want to stay. The only caveat to that is that here in Louisville, there is a rule that if it is zoned commercial, all bets are off. You can do anything you want to it. So the properties that I own here in Louisville on the Bourbon Trail are zoned commercial. So I don't have to do anything. I don't have to get anybody's permission for anything.
So did you get them rezoned, or were they already zoned commercial when you bought them?
They were already zoned commercial when we bought them. One was a tattoo parlor, and the other was a washable diaper service. So they were already businesses when we bought the properties.
So this might be sitting here thinking, like, when you have an area in a town that's growing and the commercial has come in and there's that one leftover ranch house in the middle of all the commercial, that might be a good Airbnb.
Yeah, I tell my investors that I assist them with getting started in short-term rentals. I tell them the very first thing you have to do before you research how many people are traveling to that area, before you do any of that research, you have to find out if the city will allow Airbnbs in that neighborhood. And even within residential neighborhoods, there's, as you know, there's a lot of HOA rules that limit not only long-term rentals, but definitely short-term rentals. So that's always the number one thing you have to research is, can I even do it here?
Which goes back to the point of, why are so many real estate agents afraid of investing, Stacey? It drives me nuts because in theory, when you're helping somebody buy a home, you're doing all this research anyway, because I even want my full-time homeowners to know if they're buying into an area with rental restrictions so that they can be thinking through the process. So agents know what houses are worth. They know that there's restrictions in an area. What holds them back, do you think?
I really think that it's that they just don't have the funds. I think most people, most consumers, and then definitely most agents are just not that good with finances. And you and I have talked about money and finances and running a brokerage before. And I really think that they are scared of failing. They're scared of the investment. They're scared of the time. They're scared to start a business that is brand new to them. Oh, I know real estate. I know how to buy and I know how to service consumers. I'm just going to keep doing that because that's what I know. And that's one of the things I really try to educate my agent friends with is you just have to get started. It's the same advice that we give to our first-time home buyers that want to be so picky and they want hardwood floors and granite and stainless steel appliances and their budget's entry-level price range. I tell them, stop being so picky. Just get in. Just buy your first house. And this is what I call your stepping stone house. This is not the house you're going to live in forever and retire in. This is your stepping stone house. Just get in. That way you can start growing your equity. And then when you sell that house, you roll that equity over in your next one as the down payment. But just getting started is the scariest part.
Which that's easier to overcome on something you're going to live in because you can think through, all right, I'm making a payment here instead of paying rent. So it starts to have its own offsets. But on the investing side, it might be a different conversation because now you've got to talk cash flow and out-of-pocket expenses and managing a tenant. So what is your secret sauce for getting somebody off the fence of the first investment property? Because it is a little scarier than what you're going to live in.
It's absolutely scarier. And here's the answer to that question. I tell them the story of how I got started because I was just like everybody else. I was scared to death to buy my first property. And then when I finally did it, I thought, why did I wait so long to do this? This is so amazing. So here's the story. Very, very early in my career, I had my very first investor client, and he invested only in D areas of town. And I can go into the details of that if you'd like me to. So I'm driving down in this area of town that I have never been in. I just never had any experience with this area. The property was listed at $19,000. Now this was 25 years ago. So the price of the listing price was $19,000. And we're touring this house and it was in pretty poor condition. So here's the secret sauce. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath property priced at $19,000. The second floor unfinished attic had 8-foot ceilings. You know where I'm going with this. Yeah. He added a third bedroom upstairs. He put maybe, let's say, $10,000 into it. So he's all in on this property for, let's say, $30,000. And he was going to ask $750 a month rent. And I said, wait a minute, Bill. Wait, those numbers, I don't understand those numbers. Walk me through this. How does this work? And then he taught me ROI. He taught me how to calculate the math of how much money this property was going to cash flow. And I instantly understood it. So then I had to go and figure out property management, tenant screening, verification of employment, all those things that lenders do on the rental side. And what I found is that it's really, really easy to choose tenants for my properties just based on how long they've been at their job, their credit score. We kind of look at them as a whole. We don't go into specifics about, oh, you have to have this credit score. It's really their entire financial picture as a whole.
Which means it's a good time right now to remind everybody in the audience that if you have not read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you have to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And if you have teenagers, go buy the cash flow game so they can start learning about money coming in and money going out, because we are not teaching our next generation that, which is part of how investing gets on a back burner because you, the parents, don't understand it either. All right, so let's talk briefly, too, about the fact that if 25 years ago you could buy a house for $19,000 and do some work to it and make it better, that those opportunities still exist, but they're not $19,000 now. So for all of you out there who are saying that doesn't exist anymore, the American dream's dead, you got to stop with that, because having that extra money in 2000 was hard then and it's hard now. But if you don't buy it now, what you going to be looking at 25 years from now? I know that if I go back in my life, I don't know about you, girl, but back when I could have bought a house with my credit card, I wish I had, because I'd be further along now, no matter what neighborhood it was in.
I'm so glad you said that, Leigh. It's one of the things that I tell my investor clients, similarly to my consumers that want to buy a house to live in, is that it's not all about the monthly cash flow. There are so many other segments of being a real estate investor that are financially contributing financially to your wealth. There is depreciation. There is cost segregation. There is appreciation in the property value. There are so many tax write-offs in being a real estate investor. It's not all about the cash flow. Is cash flow important? Absolutely. It's one of the reasons that I was able to grow my portfolio so quickly, because I own a lot of properties in C and D areas that have really large cash flow. So what I tell my investor clients is look at all 4 legs of the table: cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, and tax savings in terms of tax write-offs. And so while cash flow is super, super important, don't get stuck there, because prices are more expensive. Interest rates are more expensive. Of course, everything is more expensive now. But if you don't start investing now, things are only going to get more expensive, just like they are with everything else.
And of course, we would be remiss if we did not remind all of y'all that we are not tax advisors or tax strategists. And so you should always talk about your investing strategy with your CPA and your tax attorney. And as we mentioned, those pieces, there's one special thing that you have access to as a licensed real estate professional, which is taking a passive loss. And so if you are an investor who loves your realtor, you can still get a license and still use your realtor, but then you have access to another tax strategy, which is passive losses. And I know a lot of investors who've gone out and gotten their license, not because they have any intention of doing what you and I do, but because they want to take advantage of the tax benefits of taking a passive loss if that actually becomes something that's beneficial. And I'm seeing that right now because the stock markets went up so high. And of course, we're recording this in March. And so they're having some hiccups right now, which is normal. But if your gains are this high, you might want to take a loss over here to start doing some offsets. And that is a very sophisticated strategy. But if you don't get started, you're never going to need the sophisticated strategies. And we'd like you to go beyond W-2 life, because W-2 life is going to let you be a cog in the machine forever. And one reason people get in real estate is to not be a cog in somebody else's machine, which is also why you become an investor. And so with your investment strategy, Stacy, do you buy just in Kentucky and on the Bourbon Trail, or do you buy out of market now?
So we have all of our rental portfolio here in Louisville. We want it to be nearby. I know this market. I understand this market. I can look at a house and gauge within about $10,000 how much it's going to cost, what it's going to cost to fix. I know how much that roof is going to cost. So Louisville is where I'm comfortable. We own short-term rentals in a couple of different markets. We have the 2 commercial here in Louisville that I mentioned. We have one in Red River Gorge, which is the Daniel Boone National Forest. It's about a 2-hour drive from here. And then we have 2 properties in Florida.
Now, why do you have properties in Florida? You going to retire down there one day, or is it because you have a lot of clients that go back and forth?
Retire? I'm sorry. I don't know what that word means.
I mean, we never really have to in real estate, because when you've been in this long, your phone's just going to ring. It's how it works.
Right. I'm not interested in getting my license in Florida. I don't think I want to work that segment of my business in Florida. It's really more of a lifestyle purchase because I have the real estate professional status for taxes. I go down there often to do touch-up paint, switch out a light fixture, change the furnace filter. I go down there frequently to maintain the property.
That is a very wise move to go lay eyes on your real estate, because it is a tangible investment. That's very important.
Yeah.
Well, so looking back at your investor life, are there any mistakes you made along the way?
I didn't buy enough.
Mm.
I didn't buy enough. And that's not really a mistake. It's a lesson of don't listen to your limiting beliefs that are rolling around in your head of, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I don't have enough money. Just do it. Just get started. It's such a fun business. I love it so much.
So if you're in real estate and you're listening to this podcast or watching it and thinking, man, I need some more Leigh Brown answers in my life. Well, guess what, friends? I have a new program that is launching right now called Answers.Real Estate, where I will give you every bit of insight I have to help you grow your real estate business, help you better respond to consumers, to provide a more excellent real estate experience, so that the next time you land on crazy shit in real estate, you'll have a better solution to whatever you ran into. Answers.real estate. There are monthly plans available. You will love it. Get your coaching. Sign up with me today.
I mean, I don't know that I love it, but I love what my rental properties will do for me one day because, full disclosure, I don't do my own property management except on my one Airbnb because it's right next to my church. That one's easy to mess with, but the rest of them, I like that my professional team can manage all the excitement along the way of short-term and long-term tenants. Woo.
So I manage about half of our portfolio, and then I have another half of it that I've given to another property manager who's also the principal broker of his firm, and he has decades of experience with Section 8. And so I have lovingly and excitedly handed over all my Section 8 properties to him because he understands the paperwork. He understands the process. He knows who to call if he has questions. I don't know any of that. And I don't want to have to learn it all. And it changes so frequently. So I've given him all my Section 8 properties, and he is awesome. He's really, really great. So I manage a lot of our other properties that, again, are here in Louisville that are a lot easier to manage. And then I manage 3 of our short-term rentals.
So we got to talk Section 8 because it is one of the really wise investor strategies you can take as a landlord, but it gets such a negative rap in the press and in public media, and then amongst people who would say that you're a slumlord if you offer Section 8, and it's not like that at all. So I'd love to hear you talk about how you landed in that space and what you've learned along the way.
I love Section 8. I don't love the process. I don't love the paperwork. I don't like the time delays.
That's
but
fair.
it is, thank you. It is a very, very exciting segment of my business because I over improve my properties. All of my properties, no matter where they're located, have granite countertops and stainless appliances, even my Section 8 properties, because I want to provide that beautiful home for my residents. I don't care where the house is located. But it's also a really smart investor move to put granite countertops in your kitchen because not only are they indestructible, but it's also going to appraise for more, which means I can do a higher cash out refi to go buy more houses. So the Section 8 process, we have found it's really not that bad at all, but it is a lot of paperwork, a lot of patience. You got to have a lot of patience. But I find the folks that work down there are very cooperative. They are very helpful if you just ask, hey, I don't know how to fill out this paperwork. Can you walk me through it? It's the great place to get started because the cash flow is so great.
And I have to point out here, if any of y'all listening have access to our new HUD secretary, Scott Turner, somebody connect us to him because I would love nothing more than if we could get this inspection and paperwork process streamlined on the HUD level so that we could make it less painful for landlords to accept Section 8 vouchers because we have a shortage. And I know you're seeing that in your market. We've got it here where we've lost so many housing providers who will no longer take vouchers for lots and lots of reasons, but also just because we have an inventory shortage. If we had more people that weren't scared of the program, we could then have a place for residents who have achieved a housing voucher to go. And in regard to that, I want to hear how people take care of your Section 8 properties once you've improved it to where they feel like they're living in a more beautiful space. How have the tenants responded to that?
So not only are they excited to tour my properties, because a lot of my tenants come from friends of the other tenants. And I tell all of my residents, hey, I've got an opening. I've got some availability at 123 Oak Street. If you have any friends that need a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, if you send them my way, I'll give you $100 Kroger gift card or whatever. And so I get a lot of people apply to my houses that are friends of my other tenants. When they walk through my house and see freshly painted walls, brand new windows, brand new kitchens, granite countertops, not only do they love it, they never thought it was possible for them to live in a house that nice. it flies through the Section 8 inspection. So there's no delay getting that new resident moved into my property. And it doesn't sit vacant while I have to go back and do more repairs for Section 8. So not only do I rent my properties faster by over improving them, I get a higher appraisal, which we've already discussed. But then when that tenant's been there 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, and they get the itch to go look for another house they might want to move, none of the other houses are as nice as mine. So they call me and say, yep, I want to renew for another year. Okay, fantastic. I'm so excited you're staying. So it's
Are they
really,
taking better care of the property because it's prettier? Do you get less of the wear and tear and the trashing of a house that some housing voucher people have a reputation for, whether it's true or not?
that doesn't happen with just voucher people. That can happen with any tenant, anywhere, in any area of town, in any price range. What I do as a property manager, if I got my property manager hat on, part of my screening process is they have to fill out the application first before they tour the property. In the same way as a real estate broker, if I'm going to represent you in buying a house, we got to get your financing done first. It's a very similar mindset. So I get a lot of pushback from that from some applicants. And I say to them, this is our process. If you are not able or unwilling to complete the application, no worries at all. I wish you the best of luck on your search. But this is our criteria. You have to fill out your application first. So I do all of my screening before they even see the property. And this is for the properties that I manage, not only for me, but for other investors in any area of town. It's just part of my process. Once that applicant is approved, we tour the house so I can meet them face to face. And I tell them, bring all your kiddos, bring your family, bring your mama. I'm anxious to meet everybody so I can get a sense of, do I want these people living in my house? And then my last step of the screening process is I go see where they live right now. I want to see how they take care of their house that they're living in now. And I want to talk to their current property manager and find out how many times have they been late in the last year? Have you ever had any code violations on the house that were the responsibility of the tenant? And how is their communication? The communication and cooperation is one of the most important things I look for in tenants.
Well, it has to be because things do happen. People do lose jobs. They do have medical emergencies and they may be late a month. But if they communicate and tell you what's going on, it's so much easier to say, all right, let's figure this out and solve it. Because I don't know about you or me, or any landlord, we don't want to have to run people off for not paying. We'd like for you to stay and keep paying. We want to try and find a way through that. But hiding is not the solution. Communication is the answer. And I love that idea too of meeting the whole family because they're all going to be in and out of the unit. It would be nice if that tenant had the support of their family and friends and some buy-in so they could take care of it and not have to move again after a year. Because one frustration tenants have is getting uprooted over and over. I love my long-term tenants. I love it when they're able to stay put a long time and get to know the neighbors and the neighborhood. And that's all about the property that I provide. And it's about the community and how they accept the tenants, which as a landlord, you want to put in great people so they can stick it out in that community. And I especially love that you pointed out this has nothing to do with the price point of the rental. It's not that it's exclusive to Section 8 voucher recipients or that it's the executive tenant. People live how people live. And I want people that are going to make an effort. And I don't care about their socioeconomic status, but there is a challenge on Section 8, of course, and that's that in some markets, the amount that is paid on behalf of the voucher recipient is lower than market rent. Has your property manager been successful in going to the housing department to get those numbers improved? Because it's generally just a conversation.
Excellent question. That scenario just happened to me this week. I have a 5-bedroom property that I'm moving one tenant from one of my houses to one of my other houses. She needs a bigger house. So in filling out her paperwork, I indicated on the Section 8 documents that the rent on that property was $22.50, which is a very reasonable rent for a 5-bedroom, 2.5-bath property. So we sent it in, and of course, Section 8 rejected it, and they came back at $19.88. So here's the conversation I had with my husband of, okay, what do we want to do with this? The first thing we did is we filled out an extra amenity document, which is basically how we run comps as brokers of, okay, I understand that 1988 is the average rent that you'll pay for a 5-bedroom home in this zip code. However, this home has brand new windows, brand new furnace, brand new kitchen. We just finished the basement and added an additional bathroom in the basement. So after seeing that list of additional amenities, they did agree to bump it up. I think it was $2,085. So I got almost $100 more per month by filling out the extra amenity document. The other conversation that we had in terms of accepting that lesser amount of rent is the quality of that tenant. So she's been with us probably 4 years. She takes great care of the property. I just did a walkthrough on the property that she's been in for 4 years. And other than being a little bit dirty, there's no damage. There's no bags of trash all over the backyard. I didn't see any evidence of anything that is looking sideways. She takes great care of the property, and she's a great person. She's cooperative. She communicates well, and I really want to help her family. So we agreed to take the lesser amount in rent to get that quality tenant in that property.
By the way, listeners and viewers, if you're sitting here thinking, holy smokes, I had no idea that I could get lower than market rent. Yes, if you're communicative and you take care of something and you build a good relationship with your landlord, you'd be surprised how that will be rewarded over the long haul. I think we're also focused on immediate gratification. We forget that there's a long-term benefit to just making an effort, because she made an effort. And of course you want to reward that, because she's a great risk to take on that next rental house. Now, in looking at the rental market as it stands, of course, one of the perks of the Section 8 program is that you get direct deposit as a landlord. Do you have any support when you have a tenant who misbehaves under the voucher program?
I don't know, because I've never had that happen. I have a very good picker. I think I pick really great people who understand what a privilege it is to live in one of my houses. And being in real estate for 25 years now, I just have a really great way of communicating with people. And I tell them exactly what you just mentioned a few moments ago, which is if you bury your head in the sand, if something goes sideways, it's going to go very sideways for you. All you have to do is communicate. Just talk to me. Tell me what's going on. I will work with you. I don't want to evict anybody ever. Communicate with me, talk to me, and we will work it out together. I just had a situation I think it was in November, where one of my tenants lost a child. She got I just got goosebumps. She got very behind in rent. I went and met with her, gave her the biggest hug. And I said, Kimberly, we are going to work through this. She got very behind in rent. I waived her late fees, and I set her up on a weekly payment schedule. They get paid every Friday. And I said, okay, this is how much you're going to send me every Friday. You're going to be all caught up by February, the end of February, and then we'll get back on track, because she had to take time off work, obviously. So she just made her last back payment last week.
Yay,
they are back on track. And I just texted her yesterday and said, I am so proud of you. I want you to call me if you guys need anything. You guys are back on track. Let me know if you guys need anything. And she texted me back a smiley face. If you're just a good human and you communicate with people, everything works out. And these tenants are amazing. Before this, they never missed a payment, ever. And why would I do anything to put that family in an even tougher situation by evicting them when they've had one of the most unbelievable tragedies a person can have? I'm not going to do that to them. So it all worked out.
And that's a good time to remind the world that as we talk about tenant situations, if you're a landlord, maybe it's time to put a little grace into your relationship with your tenants, because if you have a tenant who's going through that, first of all, you have to make sure that you're communicating as well, so you can find out if something's gone on, so you can be a solution provider. But if you evicted her, what's going to happen? You take somebody in a really bad place and throw them over the cliff, and that's not going to be a solution for anybody in the future. So it's a short-term loss for you as a landlord to have a long-term relationship, and frankly, to do something good for somebody else, which is it's one of the reasons being a landlord can be super rewarding, because you can provide affordable housing solutions and solution-based housing, which is what you've done with her, so that everybody has a better position in the future. But it also goes back to the condition of the houses. If you make your houses a little bit nicer, so you attract a little bit higher quality tenant, or the tenant who wants to make an effort to get to that next level, you're going to encourage these scenarios instead of letting your housing go downhill. So if you're a landlord and everything's going downhill in your tenants, maybe look at your properties, because the tenants might be responding to the properties, because that happens too. So as we wrap up this kind of random conversation, but I'm so excited you brought up Section 8, because I wish people would take a look at it with a good objective mindset like you've done. What do you wish people knew about Stacy or Louisville that they don't know and should know?
Really one of the most affordable areas in the country. We really have a very comfortable entry-level price range here. Last time I checked, the average sale price here is under $300,000, which is not very common in most of the country.
I know that's now, and that's not what it was when we got in.
No. The most important thing to know about real estate right now is it really is shifting to a buyer's market. Are you seeing that in Charlotte? Are you seeing any of that?
Some areas. So it's zip code by zip code, neighborhood by neighborhood, house by house. So this past weekend, I had 2 buyers go under contract. One paid full price because the neighborhood demanded it. The other one got a smoking deal because it was a different scenario altogether. So buyers have power today they didn't have 3 years ago. That's probably a better way to put it, is that
That's true.
Sellers can't just dig their heels in now, except in some houses in some neighborhoods. It's why you get a pro, right? It's why you want somebody who knows the market.
That's so true. I have a listing right now. It's a cute little 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath ranch in the south end of town. I've had it on the market almost 3 months. It's not overpriced. It's probably a 8 out of 10 condition. And we've had 31 showings. 31. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then I've got a flip project that the photo shoot is today on it. And so it's going to hit the market this weekend. And we're going to be in multiple offers on it. I already know. So you're right. It is kind of weird. It's a weird market right now.
But a weird market is why you don't rely on AI for your real estate information. You can lean on tools and apps to give you some ballpark information and some schematics of a market, maybe big picture economic data. But when it comes down to it, it's your experienced local realtor who knows the difference between house number 1 and house number 2. And by the way, if you are an unseasoned realtor and you're new to this professional life, get connected to a mentor that's been around the block and get busy learning, because you have to provide something more than other people provide, which is how you live 25 years and become a seasoned investor who can take care of Kimberly in her time of need, because it all adds up. So Stacy, if they're looking for a great realtor connection in Louisville, Kentucky, or your surrounding areas, what's the best way for people to find you?
Of course. My mobile number is 502-905-7653 or Stacy at stacyduvall.com.
And of course, all of her contact information is in the show notes for this episode. And if you wrote down Stacy, she's an EY, not an I or a Y. So make sure you spelled it right, because you'll never find her otherwise. But thank you so much for coming on the show. It's always good to see you, and I hope to see you in person again sometime soon.
Thank you, Leigh. See you soon.
All right, say something nice in the comments about Stacy or something you learned about Section 8. Hit the bell to subscribe, and most importantly, come and see us next time.
By the way, friends, don't miss my brand new coaching program at answers.realestate, where you can have access to Leigh Brown, submit your questions, have them answered, meet like-minded professionals, have an entire library to help you build your business no matter what happens in the market.
Get signed up today. I promise you'll be glad you did.
As always, I'm so super thrilled that you joined in for more crazy shit. And if you're a realtor, investor, inspector, lender, or just a regular human being who happens to have an unbelievable story that you need to tell the world about, or frankly, you just need to one-up the story you just heard, then make sure to DM me on Instagram at Leigh Thomas Brown, or tweet me at Leigh Brown, or frankly, any social network where you hang out. I'm there. And if you had some fun, then you totally want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.